Well, thank you. I'm David Stover. I'm a co-founder of Bureo here with Kevin. Thanks to VDMA for hosting us and allowing us to tell our story. So we're a company that's focused on finding solutions to keep plastic pollution out of our ocean. Specifically, our programs focus on the collection of discarded fishing nets. And so we wanted to share with you a little bit about our journey over the last 7 years and the things that we're working on and the vision that we see with our company and where we kind of see the circular economy going. So our story really started in the ocean. We grew up surfing and around the water, growing up in coastal communities in the US. And growing up, we were fortunate enough to experience the ocean in the way that we should, in the beauty and the natural element of it. And as we got older, Kevin and I both went to engineering school together. So we're mechanical engineers. We did a bit of studying around plastics and injection molding in college. And we started to see something wrong with the ocean as we got into our careers. And specifically, that was the amount of plastic. So everywhere, traveling throughout the US, Asia, Australia, South America, certainly here in Europe as well, plastic pollution is a problem. And so we started to ask questions about why this was an issue and what we could do about it. And initially, it was an idea to set out more of a nonprofit, like a collection model. But having engineering backgrounds, we kept getting back to the materials and seeing value and wondering if we could set up a program that would incentivize people to collect back this material and put value into it. And so seeing that mix of material, what we realized is that in order for us to make a difference, we really had to focus on one type of material. And anyone that's in plastic recycling knows that the consistency of the material and how clean that material is very important to set up a business. And when our idea transferred from more of a nonprofit collection model to a business, we knew that we needed to have a clean, consistent source of material. And so that's why we set out on this journey for fishing nets. And this journey brought us to Chile. So we were given an opportunity 6 years ago to participate in a program called Startup Chile. It's an innovative startup incubator run by the government of Chile. So we wrote a business model that would effectively collect fishing nets along the coastline in Chile. And the idea is that we would then transform that material into products. And I'll let Kevin jump in from there.
Yeah, so as Dave touched on, our idea was to create a circular economy, create value in this material, and be able to use it in a fun, exciting way that would both generate interest in the communities we were working with, but also a wider interest globally, and illustrate that you can do something fun and exciting like make skateboards from this material. So in 2013, we designed and created our own tooling to create our first product, which was the Minnow skateboard here. So we launched that on Kickstarter, and what was really great about it was the level of interest in creating a consumer product that was in the action sports industry, something that we're both passionate about as surfers and skaters, something that we were interested in. And what it allowed us to do is create a really cool product, build a brand, and more importantly, use this as a proof of concept to illustrate to other brands that you can create value in something that would be otherwise considered waste. So as we were continuing to grow our program in Chile, continuing to expand our collection programs, what we were pretty quickly identifying was that the issue of plastic pollution, specifically with regard to fishing nets in Chile, was more than we could, as a very small startup brand, utilize in our own products. And we had to take a step back and ask ourselves, okay, if there's an ample amount of material here, more than we're able to use, how do we adjust our business model? How do we adjust our ideas to be able to not just be able to provide a solution in a few communities, but be able to provide a solution across the coast of Chile and expand into other countries as well? And for us, that kind of required changing our plan and going more from just selling skateboards to working with other brands who produce plastics or who produce plastic products already and have a robust supply chain, but it helped them utilize our material. So we created a solution to scale our impact by working directly with the fishermen in these local communities. We work with them to collect, clean, and sort the material. This creates a positive outcome for the end use of the material, but also creates employment opportunities for the local workers and allows us to fund community programs.
Yeah, so this would be taking you to a small fishing community in the south of Chile. This is where our program started. So we're working now in 32 communities in Chile. We also have programs in Peru and Argentina. And we really see this model now, as Kevin mentioned, is our focus has really shifted away from, hey, we need to make innovative products and we need to launch this as our brand, to, our mission was really focused on keeping nets out of the ocean. And so we look around, and there's a lot of companies represented here at the K Show, but certainly all over the world, that want to do something positive. And so what we found is that our time is best spent on the program and educating fishermen, collecting material, preparing that material, and then finding partners who are looking to manufacture products from recycled products. And that's really our focus now. And the scale of that is something that we're still grasping. And honestly, when we started this project 7 years ago, we thought, okay, if we develop this cool idea to make a skateboard and we go through the trouble of making the mold and we launch this project, what if we run out of material? That was a worry of ours. Well, I think now the stats are out. There's over 8 million tons of plastic that enters the ocean every year. Fishing nets is identified as about 10% of that. That's a number that we're basing off of kind of factual stats published by researchers, but we're doing our own research in the communities we work and in the countries we work by looking at the amount of material and waste that's generated by each fishing port, and the numbers are astonishing. It's unfortunately, the nets is a very complicated material. It's treated almost as a consumable, where because they wear and rip, the fisheries have to replace this net. So on an ongoing basis, any fishery in the world would have waste every year coming off their nets. And so what we're seeing is a real opportunity to connect that waste output with value in the material and really trying to close the loop on their supply chain. So this would be an example. This is Ben on our team. He's based in Chile. This would be a small community in Chile where they're doing a collection run from a fisherman here on the left-hand side. But it's really important to us that this isn't a one-off project. We're not trying to push an agenda on the communities we work. It's really trying to be holistically work with the fishermen and work with the communities. And so that involves a lot of discussion. It involves a lot with logistics about how the nets are stored and where they're cleaned and where they're picked up. And then we talk about putting value throughout the chain. So the fair labor is paid to all the workers that are involved. We make a donation to the communities where all the nets are collected. So per every kilo, there's a donation that goes back into social and environmental programs. And we see that as our difference in being able to track the material back to a community and show that it has a real positive impact in the areas where we work.
Yeah, so this is an illustration, or sorry, a photo of one of the workshops that we're working in. Like I said, the key to this program's success is working in these communities and working in a way that works and provides value and jobs for those communities. So this is a typical fish net repair and maintenance workshop. This is where a lot of the waste is being generated when the nets reach their end of life, which varies based on use, but generally any 2 to 3 years, they're cutting large sections of these nets out where they would otherwise be waste. And the waste is either ending up in landfills in the best case scenario, but unfortunately in Chile, the landfills are privatized. So a lot of that waste is either being piled up and burned, put in illegal dumping sites, or ending up in the ocean. So creating value for this material and really, honestly, preserving the value that is already inherent in this plastic. It's nylon 6 plastic, which here a lot of you realize is a very valuable commodity. And if we're able to preserve its cleanliness, it doesn't end up in the ocean in the first place, and we're able to work directly with the fishermen to collect it at its end of life, we can maintain as much of that positive value as possible to then create a supply chain, both to sell products and sell the pellets to our partners, but also then support the communities that we're working in. So here the nets are being cleaned, sorted, washed, and then packed into bales. And this is a photo of our warehouse after the nets have been palletized and put into bales. And then only at this point, after the material is cleaned and prepared, we can then go on to produce the pellets that are used with our own products and then all of the partners that we work with. So this is kind of a really, if you follow it from left to right and work your way down, an illustrative process of our supply chain. So working directly with the fishermen when they reach their end of life, sorting through the material, collecting it, washing it, packing it, as I said. Here in the middle, you see a bale identification tag. So a big thing of what we're working on is traceability and transparency. And so Dave touched on that, is we can track through our supply chain where the fishing nets came, all the way from the communities that we worked in, all the way through the batch that it was recycled in. And then they can be recycled or upcycled into high-value products like the sunglasses that we're working with Costa, who's a partner of ours. And so what we end up with, which is what ultimately Bureo has shifted towards, is Net Plus, which is our trade name for our plastic that, the focus is on 100% traceable, 100% transparent, and 100% recycled fishing nets. So making sure that we preserve that story, we preserve the integrity of the plastic as we scale our program.
So anyone that's, which I'm sure we all are, prudent to plastic, you'll recognize there's a couple of different materials that go throughout the slides. This would be our nylon here. We also collect HDPE. There's a number of other plastics that go through the fishing gear. Polypropylene, certainly. There's some polystyrene as well. But our focus, to be efficient, we realized early on, is that if we're able to show that we can efficiently collect, process, clean, and then put the material into products, that our best use of time is to focus in those areas. And it is a downside where people talk, I'm like, oh, you have to be selective about which waste you take, and then we explain that, yes, that's how recycling works. If you don't be selective, then you jeopardize the quality of that material, you jeopardize the value. And for us, that's something that we really focus on, is being able to put value into this material. We think it's really important for the consumer to understand, and for the fishermen to understand, that this previously thought of waste can now have value in it. And we're really excited about being able to come up with tangible solutions for that material. But one of the best things that we hear are people that use the products that we make, so the partners that use it, the consumers, how they're affected by it. They say, hey, I rode this skateboard that I know was made from discarded nets. Now my kids understand this issue. They want to recycle. They ask questions about the different types of plastic. And so for us, we see that as a really big impact from our programs. So in the first year, in 2013, we did 10,000 kilograms, which is basically a half a container. If you can imagine, it's not much. Our programs have done 500,000 kilograms to date, 500 tons, and we're projected to exceed that number just next year in the program. So we're really focused on ramping up the production of our collections and processing and cleaning. And we really see the fishing industry in particular as an area that we can have a lot of impact, because the use of the plastic is really confined to the ports. The fishing industry can easily get their head around wanting to have value in this material, and so it's a relatively streamlined supply chain, and so we really see an opportunity to scale and replicate the program and have a global impact. And it's really our wish, even beyond our programs, that every fishery in need around the world would have an end-of-life solution for their material. And so that's really our mission, is that we want to keep enjoying the ocean and the place that we love, and keep fighting to keep plastic out of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, both of you.